So let's do this. Let's talk about SEO, and this is SEO specifically for dog pet businesses, because that's kind of what we're all here for, right? Oops. All right. So why is SEO so important? I'm going to give you share some stats with you in a second, but the real thing is this is becoming a more and more competitive and crowded space. Every time I turn around, there's a new dog daycare, boarding facility, grooming, training. Like these places are popping up all over. They're doing more and more services. So whereas you used to be, when I started back as a dog trainer, 15 years ago, so there was like one dog daycare anywhere remotely near me. Now there is probably 5 or 6 within a couple miles of me. So it's becoming a crowded space. So if you want to be noticed, you gotta make sure customers can find you. All right. And that's the worst part is I see so many great people with great businesses struggling. And it's just that people don't know they're there. If people found them, they would be like, this place is awesome, but they just don't know that you're there. So we need to get you noticed. All right. So I saw this and I just loved it. The best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google. It is so true. All right. You need to be on page 1 if you want. Very few people will scroll past page 1. So let's look at some stats of SEO and why I think this is important. So 68% of online experiences begin with a search. Okay. So most of people, when they're coming online, are starting their journey with a search engine. 75% of people never scroll past the first page. And that's why you might as well be dead on page 2. The top page listed in a Google search has an average click-through rate of 25.6%. I don't know why I have the other 6 there. The second has only a little over 10% click-through rate. Okay, so the higher you're on the page there, on page 1, the more likely people are going to click on it. So as you start to fall down even on page 1, the odds of getting clicked through are starting to dwindle. And leads from search engines have a 14.6 close rate. Now contrast that to outbound leads, which is like direct mail, cold calling, all that kind of stuff, only have a 1.7 close rate. So, and it all has to do with intent. Okay. People on the internet are searching. They have an active problem they're looking to solve. And if you solve that problem, they're going to go with you. If you can solve their problem, why keep looking? Okay. When someone has a need for they're going away and they need to board their dog somewhere, they're going to look at the first result that looks good, the one that's easiest to find. They're going to go there. And if that looks good, they're just going to go with them. They're not going to say, okay, this looks great. Let me go back and compare a whole bunch more. No, if it looks good, why continue? We're all very busy. So it's really important to get you to be that first one that they're looking at. So right now, there are people out there who are searching and they're looking for the exact thing that you provide. You are perfect for them. The problem is they can't see you. So what we need to do is we need to get you seen, and that's what SEO does. SEO builds the bridge between all these people searching and your business, because you can help them if they just know you're there. So we need to get you in front of them so that your business can be found and they can say, wow, thank God I found you guys. So real quick, this is what we're going to talk about today. It's pretty simple. I'm going to talk about on-site strategies, and that's specifically on your website. We're going to talk about off-site SEO, and that is specifically your Google business profile and showing up in the Google Maps section. Some advanced strategies. As I mentioned, some of this stuff is a little complicated. In all honesty, I know a little bit about SEO, but when I decided to offer this as a service, I knew I needed advanced help. So I have a dedicated person. Her name is Danielle. Her official title is SEO Jedi, because she is unbelievable at the stuff she can do. And I'm going to show you some of the results she's been getting for us in a little bit. So we'll go over some of the advanced stuff. I'll try to keep it, to a lot of the stuff that you can kind of comprehend and kind of implement on your own, but we'll go over the possibilities if you want to take it further. And then if you do need help with it, I'll tell you, if you're interested, how we might be able to help you with the SEO. But let's get into it. Some of you guys may know who I am, know who the hell I am. Many of you may not have heard of me. My name is Fern, aka Fernando Camacho, and I run Overdog Digital, and that is my agency designed to help dog businesses succeed. So I focus a lot on digital marketing, both organic and paid. I do run a lot of ads for companies. I help them with their sales funnel. I do coaching. And I do a lot of speaking. This is me. I can't remember if this was Vegas or Hershey last year, but I love going to the conferences and seeing you guys. That's one of my favorite things to do. Hopefully I will see you guys. I'll be in Hershey in November. I hope to see you guys there. It's a lot of fun. But that's basically it. I have a bunch of certifications in digital marketing. I started out as a dog trainer, and then I started doing consulting with pet businesses all over the place. And now I have clients globally. So I have a bunch of clients in Australia, US, Canada, and it's been a lot of fun. And you're my people. All right. You're the only people I like to serve is dog and pet people. So I'm glad you're here. So why is SEO important? Let's talk about, besides statistically, what SEO does for you. Obviously, it increases your online visibility, making sure that your business can be seen online. And I got news for you. COVID sped it up. We were already headed to a very digital world, but COVID really put booster rockets on that. And now it's even more and more important to make sure that you have a presence online. And it is very targeted traffic that you're getting. You're getting people who are actively searching for what you do. So it's an easy sell then, okay? Because they have an immediate problem and it's not a hard sell at all. Whereas if you're trying to go out, like when I run Facebook ads or Instagram ads, people aren't searching for them. We're going out and finding them, which is good. It's, and it's an aggressive approach, but it's a much harder sell and your conversion rate is much lower than if someone's looking for you. And it's a huge competitive advantage over everyone else. As you see, if you are on page 1 or even on the top of page 1 and your competitors are below you, you can see by the stats what kind of a ginormous advantage it is for you. And that's why the tagline of Overdog Digital is your unfair advantage. Because if you do these things like the competition, I feel bad for them. They can't touch you. Okay. So it's a huge competitive advantage for you over everybody else. It is way more cost effective than having to run ads all the time. Okay. So I can get you on the top of Google by running ads on Google. It's just going to cost you money. You're going to pay per click and it can get costly over the long term. So if you do SEO and you do it the right way, it's more of a long lasting effect and you'll get those leads for cheaper. And there we already talked about the long-term effects. And it also builds trust and credibility. People believe those businesses at the top, they must be credible because why else? They're on the top for a reason. Okay, so just being in the top of search results, telling everyone that you're very relevant for whatever they're looking for. So there's a formula here that we can use for success in SEO. Let's go step by step here. So the first thing we need to do is to figure out what the most important keywords are based on the services that you provide and your service area. That's great, but we also want to cross-reference that with search volume because there's nothing worse than getting your site to rank for a particular keyword that no one searches for. Okay. And I had this happen with a client. I was redoing a website for them and they insisted that they wanted to change their boarding page to lodging because they thought it sounded better, more PC or whatever. I said, I agree with you, but that's going to kill your SEO because nobody is searching for lodging. That has almost no search results, but boarding has tremendous search results. So even though you like the way it sounds, and I agree with you, you have to do what people are searching for. So we need to know what are the searches. And then we set up a great website with unique pages targeting those keywords. All right. So it's great. Site design matters. You got to have a good looking site just for user experience. But then we want to make sure the keywords that you're trying to rank for are on the pages of your website, but they can't be in a robotic way. It needs to be in a very organic way. Google the algorithm's gotten very well at smelling what used to be called keyword stuffing, which is just jamming a whole bunch of keywords. It needs to be relevant in the content. And it's got to be optimized for user experience. This is something new that Google is doing. You used to be able to just, throw any kind of site up there and it wouldn't matter as long as you had the keywords there. So now what you have to do is you have to make sure that the experience for the end user is really good. So that's like design, how it's laid out. Google measures those things and it matters. And obviously we have to optimize the site for SEO at that point. All right. That's on-site optimization. And then we also build your authority off-site. Okay. So we're not only doing the website, we have to build your authority on your Google business profile. All right. We'll talk a little bit about how we do that. But a lot of times, even if your website doesn't rank first in organic searches, it can rank first on the map view, which also is on page 1 of Google, just by making sure your Google business profile is set up correctly. And then we track results. Okay. We want to see, okay, look at the search volume, what's happening, where are we on the, so, what we're trying to do is figure out, okay, we were ranked number 3 for this particular search term, but then we did all this stuff and now we're seeing next month, okay, we're ranked number 2. We're trying to track things to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. All right. So that's pretty much what we have to do. Okay. It's, it's not rocket science, but there is some complicated things with it. So you take it one piece at a time. And the thing about SEO, you have to remember, and this is difficult for me because I'm a fairly impatient guy, the things you do will not have immediate results. Okay. Because it takes time for Google to index all the pages and to have their little spiders crawl all the pages and do their thing. So a lot of times the things you're doing today, you won't see the full effects. You could see we're seeing some results, in like a month or two, but a lot of times it may take 3 to 6 months to see some results. So you have to have some patience and trust in the system. Okay. Just to make sure that, that it's working. It's going to take some time. Okay, so step 1, we want to find the relevant keywords. Okay, there's something called the Google Keyword Tool. Okay, if you just Google that, you can pull up the Google Keyword Tool. It's not easy to say real quickly, and you can search particular keywords and see the search volume. So we could see here, dog daycare, and I forget this is, I guess, is in my area that I did this. Average monthly searches is 246,000. Okay, that's pretty good search volume. Dog boarding, dog grooming. These are all ones with high search results. Now, it's also good to sometimes target what's called long tail keywords, which will be like a whole bunch, like almost like a sentence. The search volume will be lower, so we understand that, but it's easier to rank for those because there's not as much competition. But this is a good idea just to see, okay, so you may say, I talk about this on my site a lot, and are people searching it? Should I change the wording? And this is where looking up lodging instead of boarding is a good example to find out that, okay, lodging is not a good keyword to target. Here are the top keywords. There's many more than this. I would say these are just the top ones. Okay. And there's really no surprise here. Okay. These are pretty obvious. One thing that you may not know, even though we don't talk a lot, like, in the industry, kennel is probably like an old fashioned term. It still has high search volume. So even though we don't really talk in kennels as much, we have suites and stuff. Kennel is still searched quite a bit. So it's not a bad thing. So like when I'm doing like ads in Google, I always target dog kennel, and it usually does perform. So it doesn't mean you're going to try to put all of these onto your site. It's like, we're just thinking about this when we're writing content for the individual sites. And when we're doing SEO for clients, there's probably maybe 50 keywords that we're targeting. So these are just the top ones that probably get the most search volume. So let's move on and talk a little bit some on-site SEO. So this is just what you can do on your website. Number 1, this is a big one. It must be fully responsive. Okay. And that means that no matter what device someone is looking on, the website will automatically reconfigure the site to make it optimal for the user experience on whatever device they're on. There's a big difference between mobile friendly, and fully responsive. Mobile friendly is what a lot of website builders do. If you just click a button and you go, okay, we can make it mobile friendly. But when you do that, you can see it's not quite as, it's better. It kind of moves it around a little bit, but not quite. The fully responsive means it looks different on a tablet, looks different on a desktop, and looks different on a phone. And the software that the website is built on is going to, whatever it's going to sense the device, and it's going to make it perfect for that device. This is important because Google is all about user experience. So a lot of people don't know this, but they passed they had a rule come out, I think a few years ago, that if your site is not fully responsive, guess what? If you search for any of your keywords in your area, Google's not even going to show it. So Google won't even show your site on a mobile phone, and most searches are going to come from a mobile phone if your site is not fully responsive. And that just means it's going to adapt to whatever screen that it's on. So that's a big one. Hopefully most new website builders will be fully responsive, but that's something you want to check. Next, you want to make the appropriate header tags, okay? So the different content that's on your site is weighted differently from Google. So basically, you want to have keywords in the title of your pages and what's called the H1 tag. So that would be the main subtitle. So if let's say the page is called dog boarding, okay? So then that would be your header, and then underneath that, you might have like a headline, on your page. That would be your H1. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have keywords sprinkled throughout those, because the header and the H1 weigh higher to Google than the copy, than the regular paragraph copy you have there. So if you have those headers tagged appropriately, you're going to see that the rest of the content, Google's going to show, okay, they're looking for dog boarding. I see that in your header, that must be really relevant, or more relevant than a place that has dog boarding farther down on the page. Okay, so just make sure your header and your tags are appropriate. And then you want to separate pages for each service. So when I'm redesigning a website, a lot of times I'll see that they have a services page and they have daycare, boarding, and grooming all on one big page. You don't want to do that, because Google is going to weight higher. They think it's more relevant if you have the same content, but on 3 different pages or 4 different pages if you have different services. So you have a dedicated page for boarding, a dedicated page for grooming. Now you could have a services tab at the top of your menu, and then it breaks into those, sub tabs, but it should be a separate page for daycare, a separate for boarding, and a separate for grooming. Because what's going to happen is, again, that's showing Google you specialize in dog daycare. It's not lumped in with a whole bunch of services. You have a dedicated page to it, so it must be more relevant. So you want to make sure you separate that out. And I would name them dog daycare. I wouldn't name them daycare. You want to name them dog daycare, because Google's going to show, if someone's searching for dog daycare, you want to match up with that search as exactly as possible. All right. So you want to just tell Google this is exactly what they're looking for. So the keywords that are searched for, I want Google to be a spotlight to be just shining on your website. Then we have to have content, okay? Google likes content, all right? Not only content on the page. So again, when I'm designing websites and stuff, I'm like, you know what? We really got to write some content on this page that tells Google what the hell you do and what this is all about. So you don't have to write a book of content, but you have to write some content. Again, we're giving Google some meat to grab onto for their spiders to crawl and stuff. Now, not long ago, Google came out with this acronym, EAT, and EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And that is what Google is looking for now, all right? And so all websites we're looking to kind of design them with that in mind. How do we showcase that you are an expert? How do we make you an authority in the space and show everybody that you're a trustworthy business? If you can do those things, Google will reward you and put you at the top of the search results. And basically, Google hates static sites that never change. So if your website has had nothing new on it in the last 3 or 4 years, Google thinks it's a ghost town and it was abandoned. All right. They think of it as the equivalent of a boarded up old place with tumbleweeds in front of it. Google thinks the more you're refreshing the content on your site, the more you're adding to it, the more relevant you must be, because it wants to show the most up-to-date and relevant content. If you have like a blog post or updates or news and events, Google says, huh, these guys must really be up to date. They must, because they keep updating their site. And again, they will reward you for that. So that's where a blog or just having some place where you can keep, different updates. And, when we're writing content for blogs and stuff, again, it's with keywords in mind. And when you can't be obsessed with keywords though. So just know what the keywords are, but you just want to write content normally, like it's not, again, they say write not for Google's algorithm, write for a human being. So you want it to be valuable to a human being reading it, and you want it to read normally to them. And that's where keyword stuffing is. You read like a post that just was stuffed with keywords and it doesn't really make sense. You could just tell they're just trying to put the keyword dog daycare, for example, like 50 times on the page, and it just doesn't look normal. So it has to look good. And again, the computers the algorithm is really smart about identifying this and understanding which ones are actually genuine and which ones are trying to be manipulative. So write for people, okay, but just have the keywords in mind. Okay, and that's basically what we talked about. Perfect. Okay, your page has to load pretty quickly. All right, this is another thing I look at as soon as I get a website design or a new client on. I'm looking at how quickly their page loads. Ideally, you want to load 2, maybe 2.5 seconds maximum. That means all the content comes up on the page. Any more than that, Google penalizes you. So I have a client now who has a website and their page loads in like 7 seconds. Not only is that an eternity for the user, no one's going to sit through that. Again, we are an immediate gratification society. No one's going to sit through that. They're going to click away. I know I do. If a site takes too long to load, I'm out of there. So you're shooting for 1 to 2 seconds. But then Google's also saying it's a poor user experience. We're not going to show you at the top. We're going to penalize you for that. So there's 2 places that I go to check your website speed. One is pagespeed.web.dev, and the other is gtmetrics.com. Both of those are free. You just go in there, you type in your URL. It's going to run a test, and it's going to tell you how long it takes your page to load. And then it'll tell you the different ways you can improve on that. Okay. Some of them will be easy. Like one of the most common things is I see companies put this giant banner video and it's just sucking up so much bandwidth. Or if your photos are not sized appropriately, if you take a picture on your iPhone and then just upload it to your website, that they take really high res photos, so that if it's not sized down appropriately, it's going to take forever to load. So images is probably one of the biggest things I see that are sucking up load time. Poor design, poor servers, like GoDaddy servers are horrendously slow. I would always steer people away from GoDaddy hosting. But so your server speeds matter. We're just trying to get it in around that 2 to 3 second max range, again, because Google will penalize you. Your page linking, how you link to pages also matters. So, and this used to be a big strategy, many years ago, was called backlinking. Backlinkings are still relevant. They just became way more particular about where backlinks are common. What backlinks basically mean is that other websites link to your site. So they have a link on their website leading back to your site. And they said the more businesses or pages that are linking to you means you're more relevant. So they had these, tech ninjas come in and just create all these bogus web pages and just put a whole bunch of links in, and you could get pages to rank overnight. Google got hip to that, and that doesn't work anymore. But backlinks still matter. It's just to respected, it's called with domain authority. So the more domain authority a website has, the more juice their backlink is going to give you. So getting your page linked to other sites is important if you can, but you got to be smart about it. So here's where partnering with a local rescue, and seeing if, you can trade links on their site, maybe If you get featured in anything, like if you get featured in one of the local news sites and stuff, that's a great backlink to have. Could be a local pet store or something. Anywhere you can get links. Also, linking internally in your site seems to help as well. So if you are on your homepage and you mention about your daycare, hyperlink the word daycare and have it linked to your daycare page. In daycare, if you mention something about boarding, hyperlink the text and have it lead to your boarding page. So those can also help, obviously within reason. You're not going to have 1,000 links on your page just linking all over your site. Again, it's all has to be relevant with the content. You want to put the locations that you service on your homepage, okay? So Wag Days in Philly is one of my oldest clients. I've been working with her for, I think, over 2 years at this point. And we just started doing some SEO on her site when I brought Danielle on board. And one of the first things Danielle did is she looked at the site and says, "Ooh, we got to change that." So right on the homepage, you'll see dog daycare in South Philadelphia, okay? And it says specializing in dog daycare, dog walking, dog boarding. Now notice it doesn't say specializing in daycare, walking, and boarding. We want dog daycare as the keyword. Dog walking is the keyword, okay? So Danielle came in and she made those changes, and I'll show you the effect it's had in a little bit. But so you want to put your service area, because people are going to be searching for dog daycare in South Philly, and if you, in your header tag, so that H1 tag right there is going to say, wow, this is very relevant, okay? So think about, now you don't have to like put every single town listed on there, just the area. Think about how, if people were searching in a particular area. Now you may want to put towns somewhere else on your site, like on your about page or contact page. But we want to make sure that people know the area that you service and that Google knows the area that you service. Also, you want to have your contact info in the footer, okay? Google also likes footers. So I would have a footer on every page. Make sure it has your name, address, and all your contact info. For some reason, Google thinks that's a very legitimate business. The map is not necessary, but you could put a map on the bottom. I like to put a map either on the bottom, or sometimes it makes it too big, so then I might put the map on the contact page. Map is not really as relevant here. It's really more the contact info, okay? And you can see underneath the logo, what Danielle has done is look at those keywords are in there again. Okay, doggy daycare in Philadelphia, specializing in dog daycare, dog walking, all that stuff is there. Just showing Google this is the place for all that stuff. And here is an email I got from Hanora. And she's talking about our results. She said, "I wanted to touch base and let you know that we definitely noticed more traffic to our website." This is after like 1 month of us doing SEO. Specifically, we had noticed a big uptake in people acquiring about cat care. Okay. Not a lot of people do cat care. If you do cat boarding and stuff like that, it is easy to get ranked on there if you just do things the right way. Okay. Says in the last 2 weeks, they've gotten 4 new cat clients. She would never get like random cat people. So if you do cats, that's an easy thing to rank for because it's not a lot of competition, because a lot of places do that. So if you make sure those keywords are in there as well. So we're going to talk more about some results from Wag Days, because it's pretty cool, the stuff that we saw there. Okay, that's all the website stuff. Again, there's more that's very nerdy and detailed, but that I would say you're going to need to hire someone for, because you got to get into the back end, what's called the metadata, and you have to put a whole bunch of stuff to make sure the metadata is matching keywords and stuff. But I'm not going to bore you with that. That you're going to need someone, a professional, to do for you, a webmaster and stuff like that. But there's stuff you can do offsite. Your Google business profile is important. I think a lot of people, they don't spend much time on it. Okay. We just make sure, okay, yeah, we got a Google business profile and that's it. We're done with it. And, we don't really put much thought into it and realize that that can rank by itself on Google. All right. So the first thing you want to do if you don't have a Google business profile, and I'm assuming just about everyone, is you want to claim and then optimize it. All right. There's a couple things we can do to optimize it. You want to keep your info, the name, phone, hours, and everything always up to date. All right. You want to make sure that that is always the current information. You don't want outdated information there. You can upload photos. You see, we have photos and it's going to prompt you. They want a logo. They want the front. They want the interior. Upload a lot of photos. And another little ninja hack for you. Before you upload the photo, name it like Dog Daycare South Philly. Like name your photo, because Google will understand the name and it will crawl the name as well. So name the photo specifically for your service and your town or your area that you service before you upload it. All right, because that'll also help. That's like a pro tip. You also want to keep your info updated across the internet. If there's an inconsistency, and this is a little more detailed, which I think I might talk about in a slide or two, which is your citations, which means you're listed, your business is listed probably in a bunch of different places online. You may not even realize it. You know, there's probably something on Yelp. There might be something on a local site or whatever. If those don't match up, so if you change it on one, but you forget to change it on one of the others, Google penalizes you. It's very important that all of your contact information be consistent everywhere online. That's a little trickier to do. I'm going to talk about that in a second. There's some tools you can do to get that easily, but that's also important. Also, there's a section in there where you can put questions. So all of your frequently asked questions, you can put the question in, and then you can answer it yourself. That will also help your rankings. And a lot of people don't know this as well. You can post to your Google business profile. And I recommend posting once or twice a week. Okay. That also tells Google that you are very relevant and you're very up to date. So let's show you first. And this is a little different than like posting on social media or on a blog or something. It's not really an article or a post. It's really just designed to be like quick things. So maybe, something about an event you're having that week, or don't forget to book your summer boarding. We're going to be booking up early and fast or whatever. So it's just like little news, little like really quick things you post there. It's almost like a quick social media post rather than like a blog post or anything. But Google likes that. Reviews matter big time for a number of reasons. All right. I've been harping on online reviews for a while. This only is going to be more and more critical for your business for a number of reasons. All right. My goal for you is I want you to have at least 100 minimum. That's what you're shooting for. If you've been in business for over past a year or two, you want to have at least 100 and at least 20 more than any of your competitors. Obviously, the more, the better. Okay. So you need to have a system to get new reviews in. For my clients, we're usually doing a dedicated review campaign once a year. And then we're also making sure that it's super easy to send out review requests at particular times. I'm not going to get into how to get reviews. That's an art form as it is. But if you go to the podcast, hopefully you guys are aware that Overdog podcast, where I go deep on a lot of topics, and just go to the search bars, type in reviews. I did a whole episode on getting reviews and stuff. But reviews matter. The more reviews you have, the more Google thinks you're awesome. So Google is going to push you to the top. Your Google business will go right to the top of the map view. It's not the only thing. So like when I Google something and I can see that like the number one in the Google Maps has 3 reviews and the number 2 has 50 reviews, I can tell that the number 2 people, even though they don't have the reviews, they did everything else right. And the one that has a lot of reviews but is in the second spot may have the reviews, but they've done nothing else. They're missing all the other stuff for the Google business profile. But reviews do matter for a lot of reasons. So make sure you're constantly trying to cultivate new reviews. And then you respond to every single review, good or bad. If it's good, and what you want to do is you don't want to respond the exact same way to every review. So I see some businesses, everyone says, thanks so much for the review. Thanks so much for the review. Thanks so much for the review. Google doesn't like that. Google smells that a mile away. And it doesn't have to be monumentally different. It doesn't have to be monumentally long. What I like to do is,
bye. Have a good one.
Have a good one. What I like to do is just say, thanks so much. We love having Cooper here. Just personalize it a little bit. Okay. So you just want to respond to everyone. The more you do that, the more Google juice you get. All right. Negative reviews. I don't like getting kind of caught up with the nonsense of arguing or anything. You just you take a very professional approach. You just kind of take responsibility if you need to, or just note that this wasn't a real customer or whatever, and then you're out. All right. But it's important you respond to every single review. Now, citations I talked about before. I mentioned we're going to talk about it again. It's the name of your business. Make sure it's spelled correctly. Doesn't have any additional keywords. So like an example of maybe your business is on your business profile is ABC, dog business. But then on Yelp, it's ABC LLC. Okay, that's bad. It's got to be exactly the same everywhere. Okay, so make sure the name of your business is always spelled correctly. Don't jam keywords into the name of your business. So don't say Lucky Dog, dog daycare, and dog boarding. Like Google doesn't like that. Just the name of your business, okay? And just make sure all your contact information is correct across all sites online. And those are citations. 2 companies that can do this automatically at a cost is Yext and Bright Local. Okay, so they can manage, they will search the entire internet for all these listings. They will go and create listings for you. And if you have to make a correction, you just make it once and it will publish it throughout the internet. Okay, those are 2, I forget what they're probably like $100 a month or something. So they're not exactly cheap, but it's something to think about if you want to go to that next level, or that it's more of an advanced thing. It's probably not, I would tell someone with just the basics to do, but I just want to make you aware of it. As I mentioned, it takes time, all right? Because you're not usually going to get an immediate, you're not going to see you jump in the rankings right away. You can, and we have seen some good short-term results. However, this is more of a long-term strategy, okay? It has long-lasting results until Google changes their damn algorithm again, which they do every once in a while. So you may need to tweak it. But the important thing is, everyone knew keyword stuffing and getting bogus backlinks was not really the right thing to do, but it worked, so they did it. So the good thing is, if you just play by the rules and you do it the right way, you're not going to get penalized. You may have to tweak what you do, but at least won't, like all those backlink pages, they disappeared from page 1 like overnight when Google had their update. So as long as you're doing legit stuff, it's not going to change drastically. There are always going to be little tweaks to it. But the good news is, once you've really done a good job with SEO and you're constantly updating things and you're doing things the right way, and you're doing that for a period of time, it is really hard for some new company to come in and dethrone you from that top spot, because they have to do all the stuff that you've been doing for years. Okay. And that takes time and it's hard. So that's what I like about it. It can really push you ahead, and it does have long-term results, as compared to me running Google ads for you, where as soon as I turn the ads off, you disappear. So this is playing the long game. All right. So if you want to be around for a long time, I think this is a good way to do it. Here's some results that I got from my friends at Wag Days. Let's just look at, so this is after 3 months. We've been working with them for like 3 months. So first we looked at some keywords. So the first keyword we looked at was dog daycare near me. That has 300,000 national searches monthly. Wag Days was number 20, more than over 20. We're now number 1. Dog boarding, 200,000 keywords, searches a month. We were over 20, now number 1. Overnight dog boarding. All right. So this is a longer term, what's called a longer keyword, a long tail keyword. So it has to type in those 3 words completely. So that only has 3,600 national searches. They were over 20. We're now number 1. Dog care near me. That has 8,000 searches a month. We were 15. Now we're number 1. And pet care near me has a little over almost 10,000 national monthly searches. We were 23, and now we're in the top spot after only 3 months. So that is huge, because that usually takes like 6+ months. And that just goes to show that, and the reason why that jumped up probably pretty quick, in addition to us doing everything right, It's everyone else was doing everything wrong. So that's why I think that there is a huge opportunity here for pet businesses and dog daycare businesses specifically, because very few people are doing this. So right here, if you do a few things to amp up your SEO, it's easy to kind of rise above all of your competitors. All right. So I don't, as more, especially as bigger businesses, because a lot of big businesses are buying daycares and stuff. They usually, if anybody from a big business background, the benefit of marketing and SEO. So they usually do it. Those are the ones that'll come in and be a little bit harder to compete with. So that's why it's important before they move in to try to do our best to make sure we're ranking high. But there's an opportunity here. Not a lot of people are doing this. So this is where you can really showcase you and your business.